I love it. All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Office 365 Pulse. We have got Tom and Adam with us today. To be honest, don't have too many updates from Microsoft this week at all. Not even sure in each section that each of us will have an update to share, but we'll go through it pretty quickly. I'm going to start off in development. Now, remember, in development means that Microsoft is, back in the factory, making the sausage, building the dog food, however you want to say it, turning the champagne, whatever analogy you want to use. That's what Microsoft is back there doing. Rolling out means it's rolling out to those that are in first release. So if you're in first release, it's going to start to hit your tenants, and launched means everyone has it. So those are our different categories that we have today. We have nothing that's canceled and nothing that's new or anything crazy like that. So we'll kind of start with in development. I'm going to talk first about, there's a lot of things that are in development around Teams, and think phone systems and stuff like that. So you're going to have phone system launching for GCC High and DoD. You're going to get cloud voicemail enhancements for GCC, and you're going to get audio conferencing and direct routing for GCC High and GCC DoD. And so what that really means is the Teams and the PBX features and all of those things that we are getting in Teams are moving over into the GCC, and in some cases the GCC High, DoD where it's applicable. Those different features are in development to be coming to GCC High and DoD. So that is all very, very good news for a lot of our government customers. Adam and I work a lot with government customers, and so that's really, really great news there that's in development. We don't know when it's necessarily coming, but seeing it on the roadmap in development is the first step. So if those that are using Teams or on the fence about using Teams are going, crap, I know Skype for Business is going away and they want me to use Teams, but all the features aren't there. Don't worry, it is coming. It is on the roadmap. It's in development. So those are my updates for in development. I'll take a breath now and pass it over to either Adam or Tom there.
Well, I'll make one comment real
go
quick.
For it.
I think Jen hit the nail on the head. Really, this is just an extension of them getting ready to decom Skype, right? Like what we're seeing here is them bringing some of those telecom, some of those enterprise voice features to Teams for the other clouds. But really, it's just another step forward with them getting to the point to decommission Skype, which I think is cool. Tom, go ahead, man.
So the one I'm going to touch on in development is the SharePoint migration tool. Now supports SharePoint Server 2010 site migrations. It would have been nice to have this earlier in the year, so we could have at least considered this as part of our migration from 2010 to SharePoint Online. But basically what they've done is it used to be only for SharePoint 2013. Now they're taking it down to SharePoint 2010. It includes files, folders, lists, pages, permissions, metadata, versions, and more. Again, if you're not already using some sort of a migration tool, this would probably be a good one to check out. I know that when I've seen write-ups on it in the past, granted it's been by another vendor who also does migration tools, but it's kind of like it's not as full-featured as it could be. The logging's not, as full-featured as it could be. But still, if you want something that's cheap and you've got very basic sites that you're dealing with, that might be a really good option to check out. So it's in development. Keep your eyes open for that one rolling out, hopefully fairly soon here.
Yeah, I actually have a lot of experience with the SharePoint migration tool, shockingly considering I'm the least SharePointy of the three of us. But I actually have a lot of hands-on experience with this tool. Really two things. One, there has some features in it that's great. If you're ever wondering like, oh, I have a ton of files that I need to move over, but I'm not sure if the naming convention will work. There's 256 characters, certain file extensions don't work. There's a evaluation mode that you can run where it'll basically go through and just tell you, here are the files that you're going to have problems with if you migrate. So one, that feature is great. So if you guys have never used it before and you're thinking about doing a migration, works for OneDrive and for SharePoint. So bringing this to 2010 is awesome. It's opening up the other playbook. The other thing too, this is the tool that Fast Track uses. So if you're going to lean on Microsoft, if you're going to go through and let them assist you with the migration, they are going to use the SharePoint migration. Now they have scripts and stuff that run it to what makes it a lot more automated. Tom hit the nail on the head. This is not as user-friendly as something like ShareGate or something like that you'd potentially use. But if you're going to be using Fast Track, this is what they're going to use too. So honestly, this is a potentially huge thing when it gets developed, because I know a ton of people that are still on 2010 that, well, yeah, we need to migrate, but we're really going to have to go from 2010 to 2013 and then from 2013 2015, maybe even the 2016. And so this is just opening up where at least to get the data moved is going to be a lot easier. So cool to see. The last thing I'll mention, and Jen kind of hit on towards this point, Forms is coming out. They announced the intention to develop Forms for DoD, which is cool. Like, not the most robust thing. Forms Pro is probably going to be like 5 years from now before it comes out for DoD. But regardless, nice to see Forms coming out. I do think it's a quick, easy tool to use for a lot of people. So happy to see the intention to develop that.
I use Forms all the time for quick data collection and pushing people. We use it a lot with marketing for collecting data and pushing things along. Quick Forms connected to a flow.
Yeah, but I love it with flow.
Super, super easy. And so it doesn't have to be, sometimes you don't need something complex. So I am super excited. I've actually done some demos out for that environment, and I'm excited that one's coming out there. So I'm excited that they're getting there. The other one that's coming out is Office ATP. They're doing, let's see, so the AIR feature, which is the automated investigation and response features. But what I love about this is that it says in response to customer feedback and suggestions. So through the TAP program, they're basically getting feedback that says, hey, I love this reporting that you're giving me, and I love that you're doing it, but you need to make it extensible so that I can get the data through an API so I can put it into my custom application. So whether that's custom reporting applications, custom monitoring applications, whatever's going on. And so through customer feedback, Microsoft has said, hey, probably a good idea. Customers are asking for it. So now it's on the roadmap. So if that's one of the features that you're using or something that you're looking into, that is now in development. So they say it's targeted to be saturated by the second week of August. We're not, we're in the second week of August. We're still in development. We're not saturated. So you got to love, sometimes I wonder if they laugh in a conference room when they write these things.
Let's try this one. They ought to love that one.
That's great. That's great. Some of these are just great. So,
well, this one's really cool too. If you are a developer or you are a large organization, what they're really doing here is allowing you to pull in data that was previously inaccessible and kind of veiled to you into your own internal systems and your own SIMs and stuff like that. So that's actually pretty cool, and I think pretty awesome of them that they're willing to expose that type of, they're basically developing a path through an API to expose data that was previously undisclosed to you to make you more secure and to make it more meaningful, the type of stuff you're getting. So from a nerdy side, very cool.
So it's kind of exciting. So moving on to the next category, which is rolling out. And this one was funny. I'll hit the first one. Y'all, Excel is having a week of all weeks. They are the rock star of the roadmap this week. So Excel must have had, by August 15th, we're going to roll out all of our new features, especially the team that's working on dynamic arrays, because all sorts of new things are rolling out. And we have 6 powerful new functions that work with dynamic arrays. So if you do anything with dynamic arrays, it's your week. You should be seeing great new things coming to Excel. I don't know that these are going to impact me. I don't know that I am into Excel deep enough to be using these, but maybe I'm using them or I need them and I don't know that I need them, and I'll know I'll need them soon. But I'm sure there are people out there that need these and are going to be so happy that these are out there. So if you're on the edge of your seat waiting for Excel.
I was going to say, going back to the comments about the wording here, there are 6 powerful new functions. Literally, that's what it's written. And what they are going to supercharge your spreadsheets. Again, direct quote from the roadmap.
See, we get this unique perspective in that we're reading the roadmap very closely every week. And so we're catching these little nuances, probably more so than anyone else. So we probably shouldn't be laughing at it, but it is kind of fun that I'm going to supercharge. Am I going to wear my cape while I do it? I have a cape for OneNote. I'm not sure if I have a cape for Excel, but anyway, so moving on from that, I know there was one that Adam, you were excited about for Modern Auth for managed tenants. So why don't you go ahead and take us from our fun little Excel is cool, which is very important, I am sure. It is in the ecosystem and the grander things. We may giggle about it, but it's important. But Adam, why don't you take us to something that might, we won't giggle about as much.
Yeah, so this is just cool, I think, especially from a security standpoint. So starting August 1st, and they listed the roadmap 2017. I'm almost positive that's a typo, and they actually mean 2019. But basically, starting this August, by default, new Office 365 tenants are going to have two-factor authentication turned on for Exchange. So they talk about modern auth, and so the idea of, hey, you need to tie your login to a phone number, or to a authenticator code, or through a third-party system. Honestly, for the security person, me, everyone should be doing that. There's really no reason not to. It's just an easy step that's so much more powerful than a username and password. And I think Microsoft is kind of identifying that, especially through email and all the problems it can cause if someone gets access to your email. And so by default now, basically starting this month, if you're a new customer, you're starting to see this. I expect this to follow the path of what most stuff does. If you already have a tenant, you haven't turned it on, you're fine. But there may come a time, 6 months, a year, something like that down the line, that they start retroactively enforcing this for legacy customers too. So if you're not doing it, probably something you want to start considering. I think all three of us would strongly recommend that as a security feature anyways. But pretty cool to see that they're doing this as a default behavior moving forward.
Yeah, awesome. How about you, Tom? Anything you see in rolling out?
A couple things here. One, and we've talked about this in the past, they are rolling out the feature whereby in your Microsoft Teams workspaces, if you have a file or a folder that's in your SharePoint Online library associated with that team space, they will designate on the folder and make it visibly more easily able to tell that, hey, don't delete this folder. It's tied to your Microsoft Teams workspace. So, hey, the general folder shouldn't be deleted, things like that. So I think that's good because a lot of people don't necessarily catch that nuance. Mm-hmm. And they're going to go through and say, I'm just going to delete general. And then it's like, where's all my folders and files that I did? Well, you deleted them. Thank you. So that's a good one. And then they're also doing a popular around me files feature, whereby the shared with me view is also going to be offering up personalized recommendations based on who you work with, what projects you're working with, things like that. So again, it's going a little bit further into the machine learning, the graph, to allow information to find you rather than you having to go out and find information. And it's hard to do when you don't even know the information exists in the first place. So I like that idea that they're starting to say, hey, you work with Sandra a lot, and Sandra's dealing with this, set of files. They may be of interest to you because you're working on the same project. So that's a really cool feature. I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, cool. The last one that I have here is one that is also for DoD and GCC High, and that is Microsoft Teams is allowing external access in Office 365 Government, GCC High, and DoD. Of course, there will be restrictions and regulations around how that works, but for those that have been waiting for that, actually a pretty important feature there. We want those that are in those environments. They're in those environments for a reason, but we want them to be able to safely and securely collaborate outside of those environments. And so that's really exciting to see Microsoft launching that. And so it should be launching, rolling out through August. And then that's, so by the end of August, that should be moving down into the launched area. So for those that are in Teams in those environments, I know they've been waiting for it for a long time. So super, super excited about that. Adam, do you have anything else in rolling out, or have we covered them all? We might have covered them. I thought so.
No, we're good. We've been efficient.
All right. Well, take us to launch. Is there anything in launch you want to cover?
So there was one quick thing that I thought was kind of cool. So I've talked in tips and tricks and stuff like that before about the idea of contextual tabbing. It's basically Microsoft making help more beneficial to you. If you go in and you add a table into Word, when you click on that table, it will basically automatically give you options to edit the table. You don't have to then go back and dig through menus to find out where you have the options to edit stuff. And that's called contextual tabbing. Well, basically, they are extending out the idea of contextual help to the online Office suite. So they said they're starting with office.com first, but I would expect if you have Office 365, you'll actually see this coming through too, with the same type of thing where if you're clicking on a thing that has additional features that maybe are more robust than just the default, they'll start actually automatically pulling up some of those things for you to work with so you don't have to go digging. I think this is great as technical as I am, I never know where to go. Like I've had a hard time finding like spell check before and stuff like that. So going through and having stuff being made simpler for me as I'm going through and working with stuff, I will always take that. So cool to see them taking the same concept that I think has been pretty successful and the actual desktop applications and extending them to the online suite.
Awesome. So one thing I think is pretty cool, and the reason I think this is pretty cool is because right now an admin is going to get someone to come to them and say, hey, I'm the branding person for my company, and I want you to put this logo up in the corner. And then you say, oh, but the logo doesn't look right, or, oh, I need the logo to change this. And it's kind of like, well, that's great that you need that, but this is what I can do inside of Office 365 when it comes to the company logo. And the branding person says, but I need this. And then the admin person goes, but this is what I can do. And so there hasn't been a lot of flexibility there. So they've introduced some more flexibility in the types of images you can upload, into the size of image you can upload, trying to let you brand it just a little bit more. Now, granted, it's still not going to be, the sky is still not going to be the limit, but they're giving you a little bit more freedom to do some things there. So that is launched there. So you should be seeing that in your Office 365 tenant. So the navigation bar in SharePoint and Office.com and stuff like that, you can configure it a little bit more to match your logo sizes and layouts and stuff like that. So I'm excited that they're doing a little bit of work there, because it's just going to make an admin's life a little bit easier, because they don't have to say no as harshly. And, when we can do that, it's a little bit better. So I'm excited to see that one come out.
I was having flashbacks to us talking with marketing about logos and just,
Yep. How about you, Tom? Is there anything else in there? We might have covered it all. There's just not a lot this year or this week.
Did, yeah. There's launch only has 4 items, and one of the other 2 is something I would have to just read the description, and that would be it. And the other one's is Places API for the Outlook calendar. It's like, don't care, I don't do Exchange. So yeah, it's
all right.
Neither of those are that exciting anyways.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, cool. Well, then, everybody, thanks for joining us for, I think, our shortest episode of The Pulse yet, but lots of good stuff. Our shortest, but I think this is the most activity we've gotten for GCC High and DoD and GCC. So that's kind of, that's exciting. So, we may be little, but we're strong. Wait, those are the words for like a musical or something like that. I don't remember which one, but anyway.
I've never said those words in my life.
No, it's... I can't think of the song anyway, but it's I can almost think of it, but I'm not going to sing on this one. I've sang on like the last 3. It's not karaoke time. But anyway, everybody have a great weekend, and we will see you on next week's episode of The Pulse. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye, guys.